The pyruvate dehydrogenase complex plays a key role in our metabolism. It is only part of what allows us to get energy, or ATP, from the food that we eat. When we eat something like carbs, they go through a process called glycolysis, which creates pyruvate. The pyruvate dehydrogenase complex plays the essential role of turning that pyruvate into a necessary molecule called acetyl-CoA. This acetyl-CoA, generated by the PDC, then continues to the next steps of metabolism, called the Krebs cycle and electron transport chain, allowing energy to be produced.
PDC is a roughly circular protein composed of three main components, E1, E2, and E3. There's also a fourth domain, dubbed E3BP, that looks a lot like E2 except for the fact that it is inactive. Overall, these subunits are found in clusters throughout the PDC, with E2, E3BP domains found in the core, and E1, E3 domains being found at the periphery.
The complex is like a factory that passes enzymes along the E1, E2, and E3 stations, converting them into new molecules. E1 takes in pyruvate and breaks it apart to attach some of it to thiamine pyrophosphate, or TPP, and uses the rest to form CO2. The one that is attached to TPP is used in the next station. Here in E2, the TPP falls off and the hydroxyethyl joins a lipolysine to make acetic acid. The lipolysine pushes up the acetyl group in acetic acid onto a coenzyme A. This makes the second new molecule acetyl-CoA, which is then released. In E3, an FAD takes off hydrogens from remaining lipolysine molecules to make FADH2. An outside NAD comes in to remove the hydrogens once more, making the final new molecules NADH and a hydrogen ion.
The pyruvate dehydrogenase complex is crucial in the way our body converts food into energy. Our cells' reactions are powered by ATP, the bulk of which comes from the Krebs cycle and the electron transport chains. When PDC stops working, our cells' ability to generate ATP is hindered, as the reactions performed by PDC are necessary for the Krebs cycle to run to its full potential. Since our cells need ATP to survive, they need to get it from somewhere else, so they generate it from glycolysis instead. For this to be possible, our cells rely more heavily on a process called lactic acid fermentation, in order to generate the cofactors necessary to gain more ATP from glycolysis. While this shift allows our cells to gain more ATP, it can possibly result in negative side effects on your health.
Because the PDC is so important for every single part of our body, there can be a lot of major consequences if it breaks down. The burning sensation you feel whenever you exercise too hard is caused by the buildup of acid in your muscles. In people with broken PDCs, this acid enters the blood and thickens it. This can cause damage to nerves like the one in your eye, which blurs your vision, and it also forces the heart to work much harder to pump blood throughout the body. It's good to have a big heart when you're being kind and generous, but people who have problems with their PDC can literally end up with a heart that is too bulky to work properly. When blood can't get to where it needs to be, it's much harder to grow bigger, stronger, and sharper. Thankfully, we do have some methods of controlling the disease, including dietary modification and vitamin supplementation.